to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner, for leading us. And before we get started, I want to ask us to remember our Commissioner Chris Latvala. He's not with us today, and we just want to send prayers for his speedy recovery. So with that being said, now we are moving into a fantastic portion of the agenda, our awards and recognition. So now we would like to recognize members of PSTA's 2025 leadership programs. Who we have? We have Ms. Tamika Wright, who is PSTA's Deputy Director of Talent Management, who will describe the programs as well as announce the graduates. Good morning, Tamika.
Good morning, Chair Fix Sanders, members of the board, Mr. Miller. I am Dr. Tamika White. I am the Deputy Director of Talent Management in PSTA's Human Resources Division. I'd like to begin today by acknowledging our CEO for his unwavering commitment to our employees' growth and leadership development. Because of your investment in our people, we're not only building better leaders, we're strengthening the future of this organization. I also want to sincerely thank the board for your leadership and vision to continue and setting the tone for a culture of learning, growth, and excellence here at PSTA. Today, we celebrate individuals who have chosen to step forward, to grow, to stretch, and to lead. The participants and graduates of our 3 internal leadership development programs represent the very best of PSTA spirit, people who are curious, courageous, and committed to excellence. Leadership PSTA is our flagship management readiness program. It's a blend of classroom instruction, hands-on experiences, and professional coaching that prepares high-performing employees for greater leadership responsibility. PSTA People Leaders builds on that foundation. Implemented this year, People Leaders is a year-long journey for Leadership PSTA alumni who are now managing teams. Each month, they engage in focused learning, executive mentorship, and real conversations about leadership in action, enriched through our new partnership with the Leadership Development Institute at Eckerd College. PSTA Propel is our newest program. Sponsored by our operations division, Propel is designed to launch high-potential employees forward in their careers in transit operations. The Propel program equips participants with the skills, insight, and confidence to lead with operational excellence, purpose, and impact. To all of our participants and graduates, congratulations on your growth, your perseverance, and your commitment to becoming the kind of leaders who truly make a lasting difference here at PSTA. But before we recognize them, I'd like to extend a special invitation to our board members to join us for the Leadership PSTA 2025 Graduation Luncheon. It's going to be on Friday, December 12th from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Feather Sound Country Club. We would love and be honored to have you celebrate this milestone with us. Each of you has an invitation at your place so that you can save the date. If you do plan to attend, please RSVP by emailing me, okay? Hope to see you there. And at this time, I'd like to invite all 2025 Leadership Development participants and graduates to please stand and be recognized. Congratulations, and if you'll all please come forward for a photo.
Can compare in my ears, you won't be able to tell us apart.
Thank you, Dr. White, and all of our Leaders 2025 Leadership graduates. We do appreciate that, and I see no request to speak, so I'm going to speak for us. We are so proud of you. Thank you so much for your accomplishments. So now is the time for public comment on the consent agenda or items not on the agenda. If anyone is here to speak on any other topic, please fill out a green card and get it to staff sitting at the front table. Speakers will be recognized in the order in which cards are received. Are there any members of the public who wish to make a comment? No cards? Okay. Now it's time for the consent agenda. Are there any items a board member wishes to pull?
Second.
Please open the voting system. Okay, it didn't come up for me, but I'm a yes. Is that everyone? Okay, motion passes 12-0. Now, we're also going to hear from, for our committee updates, our Chair of the Transit Riders Advisory Committee, Ms. Gloria Lepic-Corrigan, who will tell us about their recent meeting, followed by myself providing the Ford Pinellas report. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, as I take out the podium. Excuse me. Hi. Okay, good morning, Chair Fig Sanders, Mr. Miller, and esteemed board members. The TRAC met virtually on Tuesday, October 21st. The planning manager, Jacob Labutka, walked us through the final changes and the adjustments to the new connected community bus network, which, as you know, is the largest single public transit change in Pinellas County's history. Along with the updates, he also gave us some interesting demonstrations of the system preview feature on the Transit app, which all of us use to plan our trips. This new feature allowed us to see in advance what was going to happen under the Connected Community Bus Network with its implementation. What I've seen so far, 2 days into this, but is cautious optimism as I hear drivers and riders talking about adjusting to changes. As you know, change isn't easy for anyone, but we're all looking forward to what this is going to do for all of us. It's also our understanding that now that the community bus plan has been implemented, rolled out, more of the staff will be available to help our TRAC initiative that we had talked about earlier about getting each of you out to ride on the system. Some of you have already taken advantage of that. And if you haven't yet, we're looking forward to reaching out to you again and hope that you'll be able to join us at an available time. Our next meeting will be held virtually via Zoom on Tuesday, November 18th. And as always, we invite you to attend. You're welcome to be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lepic-Corrigan. We appreciate that report. So now I'm going to follow up with the Ford Pinellas report that was condensed to reflect only relevant updates for the PSTA Board of Directors. The Florida Department of Transportation is requesting Ford Pinellas to amend the 2026, the 2030 Transportation Improvement Program to add funds to the FPN 402520-1, Federal Transit Administration Section 5307 program totaling $49 million for the Pinellas Sun Coast Transit Authority. The disbandment of Tampa Bay Area Regional Transit Authority, known as TBARTA, and addition of the Sunrunner will increase the amounts of formula funding allocated to PSTA. The board appointed Dunedin Mayor Freeney as treasurer and elected to keep all the other members of the executive committee for 2026. The vote was 12-0. The Fort Pinellas Executive Committee is currently comprised of Councilmember Driscoll as chair, Commissioner Eckers as vice chair, Councilmember Albritton as treasurer, and Councilmember Patty Reed as secretary. As prescribed in the operating procedures, each year the Fort Pinellas Board must decide the way it wishes to elect its officers for the following year. The board has the option of directly electing its officers from the entire board membership or convening as the nominating committee. New appointments will take effect in January 2026. Congratulations to our PSTA board members who also serve in leadership roles on Fort Pinellas. The board received a presentation on SR 580, the corridor prioritized project recommendations. The board expressed a desire to vote on the it's one of those days. Prioritized lists at a later meeting date. Chelsea Favera of Fort Pinellas presented a list of prioritized projects based on the recently completed SR 580 corridor planning study, which identified improvements along the corridor that were appropriate for the evolving land use pattern in the area. The discussion. Commissioner Scherer addressed the issues of implementing bus bays, which would help move buses off the road and promote safety. A joint effort between Fort Pinellas and PSTA is underway to implement bus bays so buses can pull out of traffic and stop for passengers boarding and alighting. Fort Pinellas and PSTA staff will develop criteria for bus bays countywide and identify potential priority locations, for example, major roadways like 66th Street. And that will be the completion of the Fort Pinellas report. So we're going to move on now to our only action item today, and that is the CEO's evaluation and compensation for fiscal year 26. Brad, would you like to introduce this item?
Sure. My absolute favorite item of the year. Begging for my 3%. Okay. Good morning. Thank you, Chair. I am very grateful to work with all of you to improve PSTA, to help lead this organization for another year, and of course to work with the amazing people who really drive PSTA, who you got to meet this morning, some of them from our leadership classes. The Executive Committee met on October 8th to review the CEO evaluation submitted by board members, and I want to thank those of you who took the time to fill that out. It's always helpful to get feedback. The PSTA Executive Committee made 3 unanimous recommendations. 1, to accept the evaluations. 2, to approve a 3% budgeted increase for fiscal year 26, same as all the other satisfactorily performing non-union PSTA employees. And then 3rd, for future adjustments, similar to Pinellas County, Fort Pinellas, and some other member governments that I've talked to some of you about. In future years, the PSTA board would complete the evaluation just like it did this year, the same way, and then provided that the evaluation is satisfactory, allow the CEO's compensation to be adjusted by the same amount as other non-union employees with the annual budget vote, rather than our current practice of having a separate item. And with that, I'm happy to answer your questions or pass it over to you, Chair.
Okay, are there any board members that wishes to speak? I don't see any request.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, can you please open the voting system?
Thank you. Great.
Okay, I'm not showing again, but I'm a yes. Okay, so the motion passes 12-0. Congratulations, everyone. And thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're going to move into our information items, and the first is going to be our operating performance presentation. At the request of the PSTA Finance Committee, Devin Dill, PSTA's Planning and Data Okay, y'all. Coffee. Analyst manager will give a presentation comparing the efficiency levels based on cost and the ridership of PSTA's different services. He gave this presentation to the Finance Committee last month. Good morning, Devin.
Good morning, Madam Chair, PSTA Board. My name is Devin Deal, Planning and Data Analyst Manager. This presentation was given to the Finance Committee and it was well received. Commissioner Hazelton requested that this come to the board. This is, so this kind of dives into conversations that have been pertinent at the board, at committees, and also here at PSTA. So we know that all trips are not created equal. Our riders do not all use our system the same. They all have different needs. A lot of our riders use what's called microtransit service that PSTA provides. That is a very wide umbrella. Our PSTA Access program, our wheelchair transport, our Direct Connect program, a lot of our Uber and Lyft programs fall under microtransit, and these are typically services that give riders a direct trip from their destination to, or from their place of origin to their destination in smaller vehicles like a sedan, maybe a transit van, depending on the type of service. And as I said, it's a pretty wide umbrella. We are always looking for ways to innovate and increase our efficiency with our bus service as well as our microtransit programs. And we also know that some services are inherently more scalable than others as a transit agency. And so what I'm going to show you today is some of our different services that we offer and how much it costs to administer a single ride on those services. And for efficiency, the ways we measure efficiency, we talk about that a lot, and we are always trying to track the efficiency of our programs here at PSTA. And some of the ways we measure that are how much does it cost to drive a mile, the cost per mile? How much does it cost to operate service for an hour, the cost per hour? We also measure our cost per ride. What does it cost to administer a single ride on all of our services? And this is what it looks like across our microtransit services as well as PSTA's bus service. The most jarring thing that stands out here is obviously $127 per ride on our 814 on-demand microtransit service that we offered in Safety Harbor. This was a service that we offered whenever we cut Route 814, the only route that serves Safety Harbor, at the end of 2023. And we provided this microtransit service as kind of a lifeline to some of the riders in Safety Harbor who still needed to access essential services and make trips. This service has been discontinued as it operated previously as of this Sunday. This service has been redesigned to more closely mirror the grouper service, where as the service existed previously, it could pick you up at the library in Safety Harbor and take you to Felipe Park. These small trips where you would pull a vehicle out of regular access service, pick up a rider, maybe drive them a mile, or maybe take them to Countryside to connect to a fixed route. The service will no longer operate that way, and it will be a zone to a point in Safety Harbor to more closely mirror the grouper service, where you can book a trip from anywhere in Safety Harbor, and we will take you to Countryside Mall to connect to a fixed route. We are hoping that the new launch of our Snapper services, which is also going to operate in a part of Clearwater, by redesigning these services, we can hopefully drive those costs down to be closer to the grouper, given that we model those programs after the grouper. We also see all the way to the right that the absolute cheapest service on a per ride basis that PSTA offers is our bus service, and more specifically our Sunrunner service at $6.67 a ride. The reason that Sunrunner is such a low cost compared to regular bus service or maybe even other services that we offer is because this service inherently operates faster. It has transit signal priority, and it has limited, wider stops along the First Avenues and into St. Pete Beach, so these routes can run faster, we can serve it with less buses, and we can pick up more people. And so that's some of the reasons that you see bus service being more efficient, but also, especially when we're looking at that $127 per ride, we have to look at the gross cost of these services. And so our bus service is very clearly the highest cost service that we offer. It is about 75% of our operating budget and 80% of our ridership. You can see third from the last service is that TransDev 814. That service was less than 1% of 1% of our operating budget. So $127 per ride is clearly exorbitant. However, it's important to keep the gross cost in context. So And so again, we know that microtransit has its place, and we can see at times when you try to replace a fixed route with microtransit, it can come with a higher cost per ride. That service typically works better whenever you don't expect really high ridership or higher ridership than a bus. That service can be cost effective because the gross cost would be lower, but on a per ride basis, it is still typically much more expensive to offer that kind of microtransit door-to-door service. And again, we are always looking for ways to innovate and increase our efficiency, part of why we removed that 814 on-demand service and replaced that with a snapper to hopefully drive those costs down. And it's also important to keep in context that our bus service is what we do, and it is the cheapest service that we offer and the most scalable service that we offer. And specifically, the Sunrunner is our cheapest cost per ride with operating expenses. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, is there any commissioners who would like to speak? Well, you did such an awesome job. Okay, do I see
Yes.
the button, please?
Am I green? Okay, good. Thanks, Devin. Helpful as always. I've been thinking about that route 814. I want to see if what I think is a little bit of nuance on that data is accurate. If I understand right, Safety Harbor does pay ad valorem taxes to PSTA, and so we had that route, the 814. When we killed it, we got to provide something to Safety Harbor if we're collecting tax revenue. So it almost seems like you could silo the funds mentally, not on an accounting balance sheet, but you could silo the funds that we receive from Safety Harbor and say, well, these are going into that 814 on-demand service, and it makes it a little easier to understand why that cost per ride would be higher. Still uncomfortable to see on a graph that we're paying that much for one trip. But that seems like, if I'm right, that's a little bit of color to add to that number. Is any of that off?
No, sir, you are correct.
Yeah, okay, all right. So, yeah, I don't like to see that, but it does help me understand it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner McCann. And just for IT's purposes, Ham's request to speak didn't show up on the screen here before me.
Okay.
Are there any other commissioners wishing to speak? Commissioner Hazelton
Thank you.
is not showing.
The reason I was really interested in having this at the board meeting shown today because, well, this actually started with the TransDev people coming to give a presentation.
Yeah.
And I asked at that meeting, which was the planning committee, a couple months ago, if they could produce the cost per ride of the new grouper. Because that was kind of like information we weren't getting. Because the TransDev, you know, the other TransDev transit rides were pretty expensive. And so that's why I wanted to look at this and discuss this a little bit, because it actually was pretty surprising to me, at least, and why I was prompted to make sure the whole board saw this. And that is that even though we were able to get $8 in the fare box, this is a $60 ride and a $60 trip. And so I just throw that out because I want to bring attention as far as future decisions that are made about these kind of things. Because, you know, I'm not sure what we net out there when you get $8, but the cost is $60. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I have to look. Okay, seeing no further requests to speak, thank you so much, Mr. Deal. I appreciate the information. So now we're going to go ahead and move to our reports and correspondence, and we are going to ask our very own Brad Miller to update us on the reports in our packet and upcoming meeting subjects.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you, Commissioner Hazelton, for suggesting Devin give this presentation. You know, from my perspective, the way to look at this is the cost per ride is the reason those are so high is because the ridership is so low, is relatively low. In Safety Harbor, the ridership was very low on that service. The actual cost of TransDev versus PSD versus a lot of these other companies, they're all about the same, like per hour or, that we pay. So then if you look at the second slide of what Devin showed, an order of magnitude, the overall cost, we still saved money by cutting the fixed route bus that went to Safety Harbor and replacing it with even that 814. And now that we've eliminated that and we're going to a more on-demand kind of thing, I think we'll be able to reduce it down even more in total cost. The good thing about microtransit is that it's scalable. So like for the grouper service, and I think these numbers are based on year-to-date, which is mostly the spring break period, where we had, I believe, 2 grouper buses running all the time because the demand was very high. But then, now that we're in maybe a little lower season, last month or so, we've cut it back to one bus. So that we only have to pay for 1 bus then. So there's just trade-offs with the implementation of microtransit versus the fixed route that I think this presentation kind of laid out pretty well. You can see all of our operating statistics in the board packet. We spent, as Gloria referenced, in the planning committee last week was just a couple days before we implemented the Connected Community Bus Network county-wide, and so we gave some presentations about how that was going to roll out. I want to thank Chair Fig Sanders and Vice Chair Tom Reed for coming to our new Spark service launch on Monday, 2 days ago. The Spark service goes up and down 34th Street from Eckerd College to St. Petersburg. But that was sort of the highlight of changes all around the county. We implemented these new services in North Pinellas County. We Clearwater changes, lots of riders in Largo. We helped. And I'd like to maybe just ask Darden Rice to kind of come up and say a few words about what she and her team have been out there working very hard to communicate with riders the last 72 hours and even more.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Darden Rice, Chief Planning and Community Affairs Officer. So we're 4 days into our new Connected Community Bus Network kickoff. And as Brad said, it started off with a really exciting event at Eckerd College with the kickoff of the Spark event. Thank you, Chair Fig Sanders and Vice Chair Reed, for being there. A number of different elected officials, from Congresswoman Castor to Mayor Welch to State Representative Lindsay Cross, Eckerd College President Jim Anarelli, representatives from the Skyway Marina District. We had a great turnout of a number of the Eckerd College students who were there as well. Go Tritons. It was a really good day, and every time I've gone up and down the corridor to check things out for myself and have taken the bus, see a lot of people standing at the shelters and on the bus, and we're just really happy with the way things have started off. As you've heard said many times before, the CCBN, this is the biggest change that our bus system has gone through in our history. And it's a lot of change. It's a lot of new information for our riders to digest. And you know how much people love change. But we have had our whole staff out there. We've been working on this for 2 years, but the last few weeks particularly, we've had a lot of our staff out there on the buses, at the transfer stations, out at community meeting places, talking to people, answering questions, showing those who are inclined to use TransApp how to use TransApp. People who prefer to look at the maps, how to look at the maps to look at what their new ways to get to their destinations are. We've really been putting in a lot of hours the last few days because once it goes live, a lot of people, I think it's human nature, don't pay attention to the last minute. So we have been really working closely with people and getting them through that initial change. And I think that there's a few things that we've tweaked, and a couple of other things we're going to keep our eye on to see if it indicates maybe a bigger change for February. But at any rate, I feel really proud of my team, proud of our writers, proud of everybody really for kind of getting through this big overhaul together. I think we're on our way to a much better service that we're delivering to the public as part of our public mission. If there's any comments or feedback, I'm asking everybody, please let us know at ccbn@psta.net. If at your offices, you or your aides get any questions or comments or feedback, please, we are here to help you. Just let us know, send those people to us. We are some of the practices that we've been putting in with our outreach, we've really been seeing some things, especially that work, that we're not going to stop now. We're going to keep it up on a monthly basis as part of our regular outreach to the public and even within our own agency. And I'm really excited about that we're really going to put these best practices to work as part of what we do every day. So thank you very much. So far, so good. And thank you for your support every bit of the way. Your support, your input, your approval, it means a lot. And we'll stay in touch with you as this continues to let you know how the progress continues.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you, Darden. So looking ahead to our future meeting subjects or future items, I know that we are trying to get a nominating committee meeting on the calendar, and Rachel's having a little challenge. Our nominating committee is Patty Reed, Chair Vic Sanders, Commissioner Peters, Commissioner Scott, and Commissioner DeBrizzi. So hopefully we can find a time. I know my calendar is populated with like 100 hold for nominating committee, but no luck yet. She's trying. Thank you to Vice Chair Reed and Secretary Treasurer Patty Reed. The Reeds are going to be joining me in Tallahassee next week. They are going up, I think, with the Suncoast League, and then Ron Pierce, our lobbyist, and I will coordinate with them on joint meetings with PSTA. So next month, starting next week in St. Petersburg and Tampa on next Thursday, November 6th, the funding agreements for the Tampa Bay Ferry are on those two city council agendas meet on the same day. And we're optimistic for the approval of agreements to fund the ferry moving forward. And then first, we will be at our PSTA Finance Committee on the 19th of November, and then at our December 3rd board meeting to approve the funding agreements that hopefully Tampa and St. Pete have approved by then, and then the contract with Hubbard's Marina to operate the Tampa Bay Ferry. I know that there's pretty much unanimous desire by the city of St. Petersburg to ensure that the ferry is able to operate out of the Vinoy basin there rather than the St. Petersburg port. And I'm hopeful that next Thursday, the whole council will support that as well, so that we can make sure that once it's going to be probably at least 6 months before we are able to acquire the vessels, and within that time we can get the necessary approvals done to get the dock, a temporary dock at first, and then ultimately a permanent dock in the Vinoy Basin. So we're hopeful there on that. And that concludes my items. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask if anyone has any other business or any questions or comments on what Brad just reported. And I'm not still seeing it, but I did see you push your button. Commissioner McCann.
Thank you. This would be under board member comments. Is that appropriate?
That is very
right now?
appropriate,
Okay.
yes.
All right, thanks, everybody, and thank you, Madam Chair. I'd be remiss if I didn't take a minute to express my disappointment and frustration about FDOT's removal of the Sunrunner lanes on Pasadena Avenue. I think this move is unsupported by the data and reckless. It's telling that FDOT, as far as I know, has not produced anything signed by an engineer supporting these changes. And I think it's also telling that, as far as I know, FDOT didn't appear at the press conference announcing this. To me, that shows that this is politically motivated. This is not motivated by any type of data or desire to make our streets safer, when in fact, the one document I did see produced had glaring errors in it, even to a layperson. It wasn't signed by an engineer. It conflated crash data in terms of fender benders and serious crashes. It treated both of those the same. It cherry-picked a timeline to suit the outcome sought, and suffered other problems as well. So what we know is the data I've seen shows that serious crashes are down as a result of these lanes. So the obvious conclusion is removing these lanes is going to increase serious crashes along the corridor. Just from my own observations and from speaking to others, I know there's tons of benefits to these lanes. And as somebody who lives near the Sunrunner corridor, I can tell you there's tons of benefits. Even as a driver, you can use these lanes to decelerate safely before making your turn without having a car rear end you from behind that's going 40 miles an hour. As a pedestrian, it makes crossing the road easier. And I'm speaking from personal experience here. Crossing the street with my daughter, or if you have a stroller or something, it's way easier with these lanes. As a cyclist, I used to be able to bike on Pasadena in those bus lanes to get to the beach, and now I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. First responders used to be able to use these lanes to respond to calls quicker, and now they can't. So there's another portion here that I'm also disappointed with. The most criticism we see against the Sunrunner is that ridership is low, right? Nobody uses it. And that's fair, honestly. I'll say that's a fair criticism. Ridership should be much higher on the Sunrunner. What's not fair is to blame the Sunrunner. The Sunrunner's doing its job. It's a great service. What's failing is our land use. We've got zoning rules that are stuck in the past that assume everybody drives for every trip, and the Welch administration has not updated those zoning rules, even though the Sunrunner's been in place for 3 years. So the Sunrunner's great, but it's zoned to fail. So I hope that somebody from the Welch administration is listening and does something about that. The one silver lining here, I'm trying to put a positive spin on things, is that we're going to get some great crash data out of this when we remove these lanes. We're going to see exactly what happens. So to any of my fellow board members who supported this change, I want to invite you to publicly commit, if the crash data shows that serious injuries are up along this corridor when the lanes are removed, will you commit to supporting the reinstallation of these lanes? So thanks for letting me soapbox there for a minute. Appreciate it, everybody. I don't normally do that, but thank you.
All comments are welcome. We appreciate you for that. Any other fingers up? Because it's not showing.
Well, if anyone wants to follow up.
Commissioner Hazelton, yes.
I'm not going to, I have other comments to make. If anyone wants to follow up, I will wait.
No, it's your
Okay,
time. Your
all right.
time.
So, yeah, I just wanted to bring attention, yesterday, 3 different places, I had come across, my radar about this Bill Gates letter, this Bill Gates article that came out yesterday. I don't know if any of you saw this. I think this was in the New York Times, but I did print this off to bring because I think it's Brad and I have had numerous discussions about what I'm going to share with you that Bill Gates said yesterday. So, in a letter published Tuesday, Microsoft founder Bill Gates, co-founder, said too many resources are going toward climate change instead of issues like welfare and poverty. Co-founder Bill Gates, who wrote a book in 2021 titled How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, now says leaders need to shift their approach to away from climate change. Climate is super important, but has to be considered in terms of overall human welfare, Gates told NBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin in an exclusive interview. I didn't pick that position because everybody agrees with it. It's, I think, intellectually the right answer. And a letter called out the doomsday view of climate change and said leaders need to make a strategic pivot to focus on issues that have the greatest impact on human welfare. Breakthrough Energy, Gates' climate-focused investment fund is called Breakthrough Energy, reportedly has cut dozens of staffers earlier this year. The New York Times reported in March that the change shows how Mr. Gates is retooling his empire for the new political era that we're entering into, which is going to go on for years. And I know I've talked to Brad about this, and I brought it up. I think I even jokingly said we don't want to be wearing last year's wardrobe. But I think that we're seeing Bill Gates, who has been a leader in worldwide, starting with the Paris Accord in 10 years ago, in pushing forward into, like electric buses, for example, and so on and so forth. He's backing away. So he's leaving a lot of people holding the bag. And I just wanted to bring this up because this is huge. I think this is huge news. And I'm glad to have anybody's comment on this. But these are called trends, huge trends. So I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else requesting to speak? Okay, I think we ventured out of other business into board member comments. Do we have any other comments? So I will make a comment, seeing no further requests to speak in regards to the Spark launch that we had on Monday. I think that, no, actually I know other board members' attendance would have been greatly appreciated because it was a phenomenal event. We're here because we, of course, want to be good stewards of our county's financial responsibilities. But then we're also needing to be acknowledging the quality of service for our constituents. And so just by showing up, just by being present, just by making sure that we are there, because we are on a board to represent some of the things that we are doing for our constituents, I think would be a phenomenal showing of the commitment that we've taken to transportation in Pinellas County. So I want to thank the marketing team and everyone that put it together and other launches like that, because you could tell that there was no stone unturned. They planned everything from the confetti to the bubbles. I thought that that was just such an awesome launch to Spark. But again, I want to thank the students at Eckerd College because they made it very clear that they wanted to participate in the city of St. Petersburg. And not only to St. Pete, they still have access to beaches on both ends of the city. So we are offering additional services to our young people and also to those that are visiting, that are here, to the students that don't have transportation. So I hear, about climate change. Well, I'm going to continue to push climate change in what we do because I want this space to be an optimal place for my grandchildren. So what that looks like, justifiably, I want to celebrate PSTA for being amenable to the request of our constituents, the request of our riders, and of course, within our financial, obligation to our taxpayers. But again, I just want to say it was awesome, and I hope that some of my board members will continue to support events like this as we move forward. So okay, I can't see if anybody pushed it, but
I did.
Commissioner Driscoll, because it's not showing. Okay.
Thank you. And I was very sorry to miss the Spark event. Commissioner Scott and I, as members of Forward Pinellas, were in Orlando on Monday attending a workshop with Orlando's MPO, which is a regional MPO. And since the counties of Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough have been actively discussing a potential merger to become a mega MPO. It would make us the largest one in the state. And Orlando has had theirs in place for some time. We wanted to get some insight from them, share best practices, and see what a potential board makeup could look like, some of the projects they've been able to get through. I mean, anybody who goes to Orlando these days knows that they've got some problems, and they are solving them through their regional MPO. And so I'm excited that the Spark launch went so well. I was sorry to miss it, but I did want to report out just real quick to let everyone know that, when it comes to these bigger road projects, safety projects, all the things that we talk about in Forward Pinellas, when we start to think regionally, there's even more potential for bigger projects, more funding, and a better network of ways to get from point A to point B, whether you're using a car, taking a bus, or any other way. So, thank you.
Thank you, and I do understand busy is busy. I see it this time, Commissioner Scott. Still not showing on the screen, but I see you flashing. Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to piggyback on Gina's comments, it was a very interesting workshop that we had with Metro Plan Orlando. We were there for, started at 10 and finished up about 2:30. They're a very mature organization. I think they've been around since 1977, and they came together as a joint MPO with the three counties of Orange, Seminole, and Osceola. And we had an opportunity to interact with their board members and their chairman, or chairwoman rather. It was very interesting. I mean, they're making it work. And there wasn't, the concern that we hear often is, well, we're going to lose our voice. And you've got, almost close to 50 years of experience here where they've figured out ways of keeping everybody included and making sure that important local projects move forward, but also they're able to speak with one voice on large regional projects. And they've really done some amazing things. So it was very, very interesting, and glad that I was able to participate. So more to come.
Okay, thank you for that update. I think we are blessed. We have, 4 or 5 PST members on Forward Pinellas? We have a pretty good showing. We have a pretty good showing on Forward Pinellas, so it's great to know that we are very involved. And again, I appreciate everything that everyone is doing, and I don't see any hands. Are there any additional hands wanting to speak, provide comment, or any updates for us for the good of the order? Okay, well, seeing none, our next meeting is December 3rd at 9 a.m., and this meeting is officially adjourned.